Got it. Okay. Yeah. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining this session. Okay, you're able to see. Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining the Build with AI series. We are GDG Study, and this is the series that we have started to spread the knowledge on how you can use AI to create more, solutions that can help users and that can help communities. So, because this session is an online, we have seen a lot of participants joining from all over the place. We see, uh, a lot of people joining from West Africa, a lot of people joining from Asia, some of them from joining from North America. So really great to see the participants joining from everywhere. Uh, and we are happy to present this Build with AI series to each and every one of you. Before that, I'll just give you a quick introduction on who we are. We are GD Study. We are based in British Columbia, in Canada, and we have been organizing such events, online events as well as in-person events for a long time, and we have almost 3,000 plus members across different channels. Our vision is to make tech accessible, unite the newcomers and professionals, and foster a safe and inclusive environment for everyone. Whether you want to speak, volunteer, or showcase your project, we are here for you. We can help promote your project and promote the findings that you are promote the experiments that you're doing. You can reach out to us via on a community page or through an email. Uh, I assume you all of you must have seen the community page. That's how you RSVP to this event. So there is community page link, and we also have an email if you want to reach out to us. It is gdgsurrey@gmail.com. So yeah, I'll moving on to the next screen. Let's talk about the session today. Thanks so much, Anthony, joining this community and speaking on this event. So Anthony is a lead mobile engineer at EV1 Health, and he has a track record of building scalable high-performance application across various platforms. That includes Android, iOS, web, and others. And his main focus on Flutter and Dart. Alongside, he also makes sure to have more and more contributions on Kotlin and Swift. And he's also uh, leverages a lot of AI platforms, AI tools to 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 gain more knowledge and spread the knowledge. So I will hand it over to you, Anthony.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. And it's very nice to always hear about the GDG community. I'm seeing the amazing stuff you guys are doing. It's very amazing. It takes a lot for you to contribute outside your 9 to 5 to contribute to the community. So it's really really amazing.
Yeah,
Okay,
totally agree.
so let's get right to it. So we are still on schedule. So I'm sharing my screen now. Confirm if you can see my screen.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Amazing. Okay, just give me a second. Okay, just a sec. So the section today will be focused on what we know. So there won't be any form of assumption of knowledge or any form of prerequisite that you need to know about. So we're going to see this section as something that, and we're going to see the technologies I'm going to mention here, the tools I'm going to mention here as both for a beginner, somebody who's an intermediary, and somebody who's an expert. So I'll use this opportunity to welcome everyone and thank you for being a part of this and joining on a weekend, literally. So what we're going to do today is that we're going to explore building Flutter apps with AI agents using Antigravity and Stitch. We're going to know about what Flutter is. We're going to know about anti-gravity. We're going to know about Stitch, what they are, literally before we start using it. And we know that over the past few years, Flutter has changed how we build cross-platform applications. I, for one, used to be a native app developer. Then I pivoted to cross-platform development using React Native and later pivoted using Flutter. And it allows us to ship not just for mobile, but we also target web and desktop using a single code base, which every other cross-platform toolkit out there still does. But there's something different about using Flutter. And at the same time, we also can acknowledge that AI is drastically changing how software is being built. Literally every single day, we get to hear about feedbacks from Claude, feedback from a whole lot of open AI and all of this news, and then we hear about the layoffs and stuff. It scares us, but what matters the most is that at this AI era, it's now about thinking about what the AI is taking away from us, but how we can use this AI to actually leverage a whole lot of stuff from us. So that's what the section is literally more about. So we are moving beyond using AI tools to simply autocomplete code. We're entering a phase where AI agents can actually help you with designing interface, help you plan your features, generate your code, test your applications, debug your issues, and accelerate the whole development workflow and allow you to do the one thing that you are good at, which is actually building software. So we're going to use Flutter and combine it with two AI tools. We're going to use Antigravity, then we're going to use Stitch. And we're going to be making use of this using AI agents, which is built on top of these two kits. And by the end of the section, you're going to see how we can use AI agent to move from idea. So we're going to use Stitch to give a prompt for it to design our interface, have the interface that is being designed brought into anti-gravity and allow anti-gravity to utilize MCP server, that MCP server, Stitch MCP server, and actually build what we want. Literally give us that what they call it, that idea that we've designed using Stitch. So over to the next section. So before we dive into AI-powered development, it's very important for us to understand the foundation of what we are building. That is the foundation that is Flutter. Even if you are using Lovable or you're using Cloud Code or you're using whatever you're using, it's very important for you to know the basis of programming, which is very important, which is the difference between us developers or people who are actually doing research with some other people who just picked this software development because it got a little um, easy per se, if I'll put it that way. But if you want to really build software, the basics and the foundation is very important. So we'll start with knowing what Flutter is, which is Flutter being Google's software development kit that is designed for one thing. That's for building software or building application that don't just run on a particular platform. With one code base, you can have your app running on Android, have your app running on iOS, have your app running on the web, have your app running on macOS, Windows, and all of that. To just a little configuration or compatibility and stuff like that. And what makes Flutter stand out is that it makes use of one code base. So developers can build for mobile, web at the same time without maintaining different code bases. Back in the day when people used to write Java, you write Java and then use Swift Objective C to build the iOS, and then you have to relate to HTML and CSS or React to build the web and all of that, to build web apps and stuff like that, or use BWAs or things like that. But this time around, you can literally use Flutter to the extent that it gives you almost a native feeling. It gives you that native feeling depending on the kind of platform you're using. That is where you have to, when you're working on Android, you need to make sure that you're working on Android and making customizations in a way, you're making use of material design and making use of things that give you that Android feeling. Same thing goes with iOS. Same thing goes to web. And we know that Flutter doesn't work on its own alone. So Flutter uses a programming language that's called that. So that just reads like JavaScript or Python. If you've ever done JavaScript in the past, in JavaScript or you've done Python or you've done any other programming language out there, it's just literally like it. And people get, I can remember back in the day when I to move to Flutter then, I was compelled towards having this mind that, hey, I'm going to learn because I was coming from a JavaScript background and I was pivoting from React to React and was to pivot from React Native to Flutter. And I was like, I'm going to learn a new programming language. there is the good part of it, not even a problem. The good part of it is that with that, is more or less like you're using what you've learned from your JavaScript days, from your Python days, or from your any days that you've had. In as much as you've had a concept of programming, it's exactly what it is like. So language is more or less like an advantage for you. Very, very easy to learn. So one of the features developers use is a hot reload, which allows you to see the changes almost instantly as you build. It makes experimentation very easy, make debugging very easy, and make UI development significantly faster, sincerely. And today, Flutter is currently in 3.341. And the good part of it is that at each change or at each update that is coming in, a whole lot of changes are coming in, a whole lot of updates is coming in. So the section is not for Flutter, but since you are using Flutter, it's very good for us to have like a foundation of what we are doing so that it will not just be like we are prompting AI to give us stuff and then we don't know what we are doing literally. So it gives you, for you to be a driver in the AI world, you need to know the difference between what is good and what is better and what is manageable. So you need to define, you need to have that definition. Because at the end of the day, working with AI or allowing AI to do stuff for you has you been on the driver's seat for you to have that particular efficiency that you need to have when you're writing the code yourself. It's literally almost the same thing. Just that this time around, you need to focus on what matters the most, which is actually building it very fast now. So we'll move to where we are, which is literally after the Flutter, we have the AI agent. So if we start from the beginning, what's an AI agent? So it's simply when you put a regular LLM like Claude GPT into a stateless function. That is both Claude GPT and all of them are stateless function. So when you want an these LLMs to become an agent, you have to add them four things. You need to give them the brain, the tools, the loop, the memory, and each of these gives you that whole feeling that we get when we are using Cloud Code or when we are using Antigravity or when we are using Kusa and all of that. All of them have these things on them. They have the tools, they have the loop, they have the brain. The brain is literally still the LLM that we know. It could be Gemini 3, it could be Gemini 2.4, 2.5 Flash, it could be Claude, it could be anything it is. That is just the LLM doing what is meant to be as a stateless function. And then we have the tools. The tools are like they are like the functions. So it's something that an agent is defined to call. When you are defining a tool, you give it a tool description. The more concise you are with the tool description, the more easy it is for your AI agent to pick it up. It could be to search the web, to read a file, to write to a database. It could be to call an external API. And without tools or without the AI agent doing an action for you, performing an action for you, literally, it's just like an LLM, a normal LLM, just like a stateless, just like it gives you that stateless function. So what it does is more or less like what almost all of us use on a daily, ChatGPT that we use or Gemini that we use on the web, where we give it an instruction or we give it a PDF file, tell it to analyze it and stuff like that. But when we want the agent to now start doing something for us, the AI to now start doing something for us, it's no longer just an LLM with the tools defined on it, it can perform tasks on our behalf. So those tasks are actually defined. It can be for it to, you can give it a PDF file, tell it to go search online to search for plagiarism, or you can write an article, get the article and look for plagiarism or stuff like that so that it can search the web for you. It can read the file for you. It can write a database. It can do all of this stuff. That is tools that you've defined to it. So it's best for us to also understand this so that when we are using anti-gravity now, we're going to be understanding what is actually happening. So it's also good for us to get to it. Another side is the loop. So the loop is what gives us that when you give an AI agent a task to do, it does it, it come back again, it gets your reaction, it comes again, it does it, it observes. So they call it the react loop, where it literally reasons and acts. So what it does is that it observes, it thinks, it acts, and then it repeats till it gets exactly what the task is meant to be done. So it is a particular what will I call it? Every good AI agent is meant to have it, literally. So is a very important part. So whenever you see when the agent doesn't just respond once and stop, it goes, it observes what is happening, it think about what to do. It can do this by calling a tool, it can observe the result, it can think again, act again. It keeps the circle through all of this whole loop. That's this same whole loop. It keeps it going until you have that particular result, until you have that aha moment, and then you're like, this is now good and all of that. So the fourth one is the memory. The memory is so important. And that is what gives us that context window that everybody talks about literally. So no LLM is built in a way that it retains the memory of your previous conversation. Or you're using anti-gravity and then it knows about what the last project you guys built together or stuff like that. Every AI agent that is out there is built in a way that it has memory allocation in a way. Those memory allocation can be writing to an external database, it can be any form. You can even define yours to be on shared preference, which will be advisable. So it's nice, it's better for you to put it on the database. And one important part of it is that when done perfectly, stuff like ChatGPT or stuff like any of that in a way that because I don't do ML, I don't do machine learning literally. I know for a fact that all of these AI agents are done in a way, are defined in a way that if you are, I think there are code labs are out there that Google released that you can actually use to learn how to build agents. And building these agents, the good part of it is that when you build an agent that has external memory, it gives you that advantage that when somebody opens a new window, a new chat window or a new window whatsoever, you bring the memory of on as much as you can, bring it into the new conversation. The more, the more, the more.
Hello. Hey, Anthony, you still there?
Yes, I am. Sorry about that.
Oh,
I just
it's
had a
okay.
little emergency. Okay, so the more accurate you are in a way, or the more you make it look better, the more it gives the user that better experience. So the way most of this AI agent does it, they do it in a way that when you are in a new context window, it gives you all of those things. It can call an API, it can call a request for it to pull up everything we've discussed, to bring it to the conversation. So the more smooth it is, the more you have that feeling that the AI knows about what you discussed previously. Although the AI can grow in a way, but it doesn't survive forever. The context window doesn't survive forever. That's why AI hallucinates, it does all of this, it does all of that. The AI agent hallucinates. So let's move through because of time so that we can literally do what we need to do. So it's also good for you to know about multi-agent because literally every every AI agent system or every agent system that you know about literally is built with the multi-agent system. And the problem with building a single agent system is that you're giving it the task for it to do everything. So the reasoning it fills up the context window. That is one. And another thing is that the whole reasoning that you're doing, you're allowing the AI to be the front end engineer, the back end engineer, the DevOps engineer, the QA, the program manager, and all of this, when it's being done at the same time, it can become overwhelming. It can make the context window to fill up very quick. So that's why a whole lot of systems that are built with the multi-agent system in mind. And then when you're building the multi-agent system, there is one thing you need to pay attention to, which is the first agent that is out there, which is called the orchestrator. So the orchestrator is just another agent, but excuse me, the difference between the orchestrator and the other agent is the fact that this is like the main agent that controls the whole actions of the other agent. It distributes tasks and then gets the results of these tasks and then give a synthesis of everything that is being done. So what happens in this scenario is that when you build a multi-system, a multi-agent system, the orchestrator becomes the main agent or the box agent or the program manager in a way. So let's mention it in a way that it will make sense. So the program manager in the company is your colleague, but he gives tasks. He assigns tasks to you, then does the stand up, asks for feedback with the QA, feedback with the DevOps, feedback from everybody to make sure that the main task is being done. So all of these other small agents are called sub agents. So these sub agents, they are like specialists. They're like me. I specialize in mobile dev. Another person specializes in backend dev. Another person specializes in DevOps. Another person specializes in QA. So this task is being given to all of us for us to work on, and we are doing it in parallel. When we work on it in parallel, there's only one side effect to it, which is consumption. It consumes more token when it is running in parallel, and and that's just it. But the good advantage of it is that each agent is actually focused on what they are doing. So the failures are so the failures are failures are isolated, and it gives you that advantage for you to please give me please give me a minute. Sorry, I actually have a toddler, so my toddler is disturbing. Sorry about that.
No, no, that's okay. I understand. And thanks a lot for, sharing this session. Yeah, no worries.
Definitely. Okay, so let's move ahead. So is that one part of of being a daddy? Okay, so as I was mentioning, the whole system is designed in a way that each sub agent have what it does. It specialize. It has this specialization of what it does, and the good part of it is that if an agent or a sub agent, as we call it, has like a failure or whatsoever, it doesn't affect the action of these other agents. So we can have like a research agent, a code agent, a test agent, a deploy agent, and what it does is the research agent. We're going to see this in action, so it's best to just understand what is happening. That's the reason I'm having this theory section. So the research agent focus on the research part of things. It doesn't care about what the code agent does. Same thing with the code. The code agent doesn't care about what the research agent does. Same thing with the test. And one good important part of this is that the orchestrator, when it's issuing out, so we're going to see it in action when we give the task to even Stitch and Antigravity. When you give a prompt for this agent to work for you, it gives all of these sub agents what they call the handoff. It does this handoff. And when you're doing this handoff, it gives them context. So you need to also be mindful of should in case you want to build an agent. So that's the reason for the section. So we need to know about agents and then make see one in action. So when you're building stuff like that, you need to make sure that when you're passing the context, it doesn't need to be you're not passing too much context or little context, so that it will not be overwhelming or too little for it to take an action. And that's actually an advantage. So I think I'll have to move fast so that we can move to anti-gravity. So anti-gravity is something that everybody has heard about. Literally every single person I think that's on this call have heard about it. So anti-gravity, it gives us that it represents that shift from traditional coding or traditional AI assistants that we know, Copilot, this autocomplete. It moves us from there to what can actually help us write code in a form that it enables this agentic software development. So instead of it to be suggesting snippets, literally, if you are using VS Code or you're using Android Studios, I use Android Studio more, you see that when you are using Copilot, when you are typing, it has already seen stuff like that. So it has access to a whole lot of code and repositories and stuff that is being used to actually train. I think you must have seen where GitHub actually asks you to inform you about your repositories being used for training, and then you can opt out from it, stuff like that. So instead of giving you snippets, it gives this autonomous agent for them to understand the requirements, break tasks, plan implementation, and generate production ready code. It can also run your tests and do this whole stuff without you writing the code or lifting a finger or stuff like that. And when it becomes really powerful is when you are using it for real world use cases. even though anti-gravity from all knowing is still something that is I won't call it experimental in a way, but a lot of people have not used it in that form where they trust it to the extent that they trust Kuso and Plot Code. But I've used it in a way that I know that for a fact that hey, this is actually working. Because what matters the most is not just the anti-gravity, but also the models that you're making use of. So you're using Claude, you're using Gemini 3, you're using the Pro. So you're going to see it. So when you're using those models, an anti-gravity is designed in a way that it can do this multi-agent system and give you that agentic software development. Whether it is still experimental, that is you using it in your workspace, integrating it for official work or production work or stuff like that, totally depends on you, if I'm being honest with you. But the good part of it is that does it give you that full automated development? Yes, it does. So you can give anti-gravity a full complete product requirement, and it can scaffold the architecture, generate the code, connect dependencies, and test it. And another thing that is good about it is that it has that multi-agent collaboration for large projects, like different agents, like we discussed. That's why when we are working on it, it's best to understand what is going on because anti-gravity makes use of this in any form that we can think of. So it has different agents that can work in parallel. One can focus on the front end, another can work on the back end, and another can work on the testing or code review. Almost like having this engineering team that we talk about, and then the debugging part of things and stuff relating to that. So we have like a snippet of anti-gravity, this GIF that is here, that gives you that glimpse of anti-gravity. And the top use cases that is out there is automated full feature development, multi-agenting for large projects, agentic debugging, and browser testing. Like I remember one time I was working with anti-gravity, and then we needed to test something on the web. So it literally, I've forgotten what it was literally. So it literally went on the web. So that is a particular tool that we mentioned about defining a tool. So it knew when you need to open a browser and check something. Exactly. That was when I was designing a portfolio. And then I needed to get goodness me. This is a very use case. So I was designing a portfolio for somebody who is a designer, and I was designing it off from the person's Behance portfolio that the person already has with the project the person has. So I brought just the Behance portfolio link and mention that you should use that link, get all of the whole images that is there, all of the whole project that is there, their images and stuff, get the images from the network from the network, get all of that. So it had to open it had to open a browser, call the tool to open the browser, get all of those information, started designing it in a way that it was making sense. So it was actually a very good experience. And another part of this is the stitch. So the stitch is something that I've also used personally. So all of these I've used this personally. So why anti-gravity focuses on autonomous software development? Stitch gives us this, there is this focus it gives us on a critical part of the product lifecycle, which is interface design. So as developers, we know that building great software takes time. And as a product designer, it also takes time, literally. When you have to move from idea to designing, you can literally I've watched a company that I've been a part of before they brought me on board run a design life cycle, if I should call it that, for 6 months. I've seen one that ran for 1 year. And that process is nice and very good. But imagine if you are building a side project or you're building something and you just want to get started, even if you're a designer, even if you're a product designer, you're very skilled and you just want to get started, you're working on something and you just want to get started with it. Like have like more or less like a drafting a letter, but you want to have like a starting point. Not like you're giving it this autonomous control that what it gets is what you're going to work on. So it gives you like a starting point, and then you can iterate over it. So it gives you that ability for you to start from something prompt, and using your prompt. The more detailed your prompt is, the more it gives you the UI, and the more detailed the UI will be for you. Depending on that's where prompt engineering is very very good. I think it's also nice for you to take a class on it, watch a YouTube video, or take a course on Coursera. I think I've seen one that Google released. So I think you can look up Stitch and all of that. So another important part of this is that while you are doing all as powerful as AI agents are, there is something that is important to remember. You are still the driver, literally. So tools like anti-gravity and Stitch can help us move faster, generate code, design interfaces, automate parts of development, but they do not replace the engineering judgment. So as Flutter developers, we still have that responsibility for us to build applications that are scalable, maintainable, and most importantly, optimized for real users. So this is where it gets very serious. So when you are using this for real work, like using it in your workplace, you need to make sure that while you are doing this, all of these optimization techniques or performance optimization that you are aware about, you need to bring it in into the AI or let the AI know about it so that while it's doing it for you, that's why I think one of the tools I like so much is Cursor because of the Cursor rules, where you get to define how your project will look like from onset. It gets that rule and then it works with that rule in all of your project and stuff. That doesn't mean that when you are given the prompts that you can't bring all of that. You can also define that also with anti-gravity. You can design before anti-gravity came in, that was my go-to whenever I want to work on something. So what I did literally was I brought in a Flutter application I've worked on that was open source, that was public on GitHub. So I brought it in, gave it to ChatGPT, told ChatGPT to use that particular GitHub repo because it was public, gave it the URL, tell it to generate a cursor rule based on everything that I did there. And that's exactly how I was using it to Google release anti-gravity. And one important thing that we need to pay attention to as Flutter developers is that we still need to minimize unnecessary widget build. We still need to use cross constructors where possible, choose the right statement management approach. Imagine if you are working with any of these tools and they are using Riverpod and Block at the same time, or using Block when they can literally manage the state without using even a state management tool. And another thing is also the state management approach as well, optimizing image loading, avoiding heavy widgets loading, optimizing image loading, sorry, avoiding heavy widgets in side scrolling list, or using list view when they can use list builder. So these things are things that the AI doesn't know about. It knows about it, but literally, you just want to have an app that works. So it now depends on, do you want an app that works or do you want an app that can perform very well and scale? So that's where your judgment comes in. So it's not like you sit, it gives you that action, and then you just relax and all of that. No, you still have to take that front row seat where you know that, hey, I've worked on this, this looks like this is how I build software. So the more concise or how will I put it? The more detailed you are, that's the right word. The more detailed you are on your prompt, the more the AI is going to know about it. So we're going to see something like that in the prompt you're going to give anti-gravity. And that's literally much it. So we've spent 35 minutes from our time doing talks. So I'll use the next 30 minutes for us to do the work and then have questions because the call is for 1 hour, 30 minutes. So we're going to build something that is very simple, literally. So initially, what I wanted to build was something different, but we're going to have different iteration processes. I decided to leave it and then do something that is very simple. So we're going to be building a Flutter application that gives us this rental marketplace inspired by Airbnb. So the design will follow it will follow it will follow the modern UI that we know. We'll adopt both isomorphism, rounded cards, soft shadows, and consistent design throughout all of it. But the good part of it is that we're not going to dribble or start designing something from what we know or start giving anti-gravity just the prompt for it to do it. We're going to design the interface and then connect the interface from Stitch to anti-gravity. So we have a design. So when literally every single person that has ever built app, I think everybody is becoming aware of it now. If you build a website using Cloud Code or Cursor, there is this same design it makes it up. It looks futuristic in a way, even images. So I think everybody has started figuring it out. But imagine if you have the design generated or you have the design beforehand being unique, you've iterated on the process from the onset, define every single thing you want to define from the onset, and then you're bringing that whole idea into an AI tool and allowing the AI tool to build exactly what you want. Is a game changer, literally, if you ask me. So what we're going to have is that on the home screen, it will be like the entry point of the app. We're going to display the property section, the recommended listing. We're going to have a search bar, and then each property is going to include like something like images, title. It's going to have price per night. We're going to have the location. we're going to have, that is on the detail view. We're going to have the rating, the favorite heart, and all of that. And then each card will be clickable. So we're going to define this to anti-gravity and also define part of it. We're going to define much of it to Stitch, so to design the interface, we'll iterate over it as well. And then the second screen will be more or less like the property detail screen. So the property detail screen is going to be like a full property information. It's going to include a large image gallery, a property title, as I mentioned before, the description, the price, the total, the rating, the amenities, I guess. And one important thing also, the host information. The host, just like Airbnb, the same way when you want to book an apartment in Airbnb, you see the host who is hosting you and stuff like that. And then we need to have a book now button. Yes, a book now button somewhere. And then users can favorite, as I mentioned, you can on even from the home screen, you have that favorite icon, and then also on the detail screen, you're going to have that favorite proper icon. That we're going to define it to Stitch and allow anti-gravity to bring the functionality for us. Then the third one is going to be the listening screen. The listing screen is just going to have grid view or list view. Then it will have all of the listings that we have, and then you have the favorite screen, and then we're going to have the home screen. So let's get started with Stitch. Just give me a second. Let me share Stitch. So we'll get started with Stitch. So just a second. Okay. So Stitch is just Google with Stitch. So let me share it. So I want this to be as hands-on as possible. I don't know how hands-on it can be, as hands-on as possible. So this is Stitch, and this is anti-gravity shield in case you want to. Just give me a minute. Let me. And also, there's something that is also important. All of this section is something I wrote with FreeCodeCamp 2 months ago, thereabouts. I just dropped 2 links. So, should in case I'm not going too much into detail, but I'm not going to go too much into detail because of our time. But one important thing is that the last link I just dropped for you have every single thing I'm talking about in much more detail in FreeCodeCamp. So let's get started with this. Sorry about that. Okay, so I've defined something that is very long already. I've written it out because it took a lot of time and iterations and all of that. So I'm giving it a prompt. I'm telling it to design a premium mobile application interface for a property rental marketplace by Airbnb, featuring a clean, minimal, modern, realistic, modern, reward, aesthetic. This is a big grammar. Okay, with classmorphism elements, soft shadows, rounded cards, smooth spacing, typography. One beautiful part of it is that you can even define here. That's also another thing. You can define the typography. But one good thing is that don't allow the AI to have too much autonomous control. Go as much details as you want it to look like so that your iteration process will be small. So if I didn't define this color palette here, it's going to use any kind of color, and you wouldn't want to know the kind of color it's going to use. And then this is defining the color it's going to make use of. So I got this color from Color Hunt, and it should consistently use it across the background, the accent, the buttons, the highlights, and what have you. The design should feel production ready, realistic, and suitable for a modern marketplace product, rather than a concept mock-up. So it should include a home screen. So this is where, so what I did here was how I do this literally, because nobody is a machine. So what I normally do is I write my prompts, define every single thing the best way I can, carry it, go to Gemini, tell Gemini exactly what I want this prompt to look like, because nobody is a perfect prompt engineer, literally. So you do as much as you can, like write as more detailed as you can, then take it to ChatGPT or take it to Gemini. Make sure you are not on their free plan. Make sure you're on pro at least. But the good part of it is that define every single thing yourself. Make sure you're the one defining it because you're the one building something. Yeah, so you know what you're building. This time around, they're not just throwing a bone into the forest and then allowing them to fetch you something. So I don't know how to put that together. Like you're not just throwing yourself into the wide. I think that's the right thing. You're not throwing yourself into the wide, and you are expecting this beautiful design in your mind. You're looking at for the fact that you've mentioned Airbnb, you should just know about Airbnb and all of that. So one good part of this is that you can also include link, but I'm not adding any link. So you can actually include link. You can include the web URL, you can upload file, but we are doing that. We're just doing this. So I've defined a whole lot of stuff. I don't know if I should share this prompt. Let me share this prompt with you guys. Exactly. Somebody said I should share the prompt. So yeah, this is a prompt. So I just shared the prompt with you. Message is too large to send. Where else can I send this prompt to you guys? Okay, give me a minute. Let me share this. Let me
Yeah,
pass this prompt in.
either you
What do
can
you say?
split or yeah, either you can split the message or split into multiple messages because there is
Yeah,
a
so
limit on how long you can post. Yeah.
yeah, so what I'm going to do, thank God we have free tools. So I'm sending this to Google Docs and I'm sharing it publicly to everyone. So just give me a
Uh-huh.
minute so that everybody with the link will have it. So I'm sending this out. So this is the link to the once you open it, you can be able to like get the prompt. And one good part, as I mentioned, is that building with AI or doing all of this vibe coding that everybody talks about, which literally sounds somehow. It sounds somehow when you call it vibe coding. So when you do stuff like this, it's very good for you to be more detailed as much as you can. So I went in, talk about even how I want the navigation, what the navigation should look like. The navigation bar should have the home, the listing, the profile, it should have just three tabs and all of that. And then it should prioritize realistic content, define spacing and all of that. The profile scheme, how what it should look like, what it should have, the listing, what the listing should look like. If you want the listing to have Google Map, if you want it to have this, don't have assumptions. You remove all forms of assumption. That is prompt engineering 101. You remove all forms of assumption that you have in mind. Do it in a way. That's why it's also good for you to think like a product manager. When a product manager is writing a PROD or an FROD, they go as detailed, even as how they make information on the screen to look like, so that the designer will know exactly how to design it. So let's get started with this. Okay, before that, what also matters is you doing this. So the prompt you are using, 3 Flash. I'm going to be doing the thinking with 3.1. So we have the redesign, where you are redesigning with Nano Banana. All of this uses Nano Banana. Then the ideate, I'm just going to use this. So I'm going to run this. And depending on how strong my network is, oh, amazing. It's giving me 404. Just give me a sec. So I've had that open since. Just a minute. Let's start this again. Okay. Oh, it has even started it already. Okay, so it's designing. So what it's doing now is just like the same way when you are I don't know our backgrounds, so I won't have any assumptions. I will just call us product engineers. So when you are working on a product, a web product, a mobile app, you define your design system. You have how your design system is structured. You have every single thing that is structured in a way that is going to be there for you. So what Stitch is trying to do now is trying to interpret the structure of the app and convert the structure of the app that we've given it. It's trying to convert it into a consistent UI system. So it's not just trying to generate the screens. So it's to construct the UI system and maintain that system across our entire app. And anti-gravity is going to pick it up as well. So let's just watch while it's okay. It's coming up. Just a minute. So while we wait for the whole thing to come up, you can see that it has started giving us that whole concept. That's just a minute. Let me minimize this and zoom out. Yep. And then this hand. Okay. So this doesn't look as perfect as I want it to look like. But that is actually where the whole idea comes in. So when it defines, it's not cast on stone. So you can pick anyone up. So let's just allow it to be done. You can pick anyone up and literally iterate over it, tell it what to change and stuff like that. So let's just wait for this whole screen to be done. Okay, why this is coming up? Let me go check what is wrong with that button. Okay, so we can see that this is done with, which is very amazing. So let's look at it. Let's go as okay. So we can see from the home screen. So it's at defined of those screens that we mentioned: the home screen, the listing screen, the details screen, that is the product details reference screen, and the estate screen. Let's see something we can change. Let me see something that we can change. Okay, okay. I think I've seen something that we can change. So what we can do is that we can select this place and just a minute. So as we select it, it comes up here. So we can mention um, also be mindful of this. Also very good for you to be mindful of this so that you be getting anyone. Though the three flashes is still good, but I prefer to be using this. Just personal preference. Um, so don't mind. I'm just doing this for the sake of actually going through the iteration process. So you can define this if you find something that you need to make a change on, which at this point I have not seen anything I can make a change on because of the section and time as well. So when you're doing this on your own, it has given you a structure. You can export this to Figma and then work on it. So every concept that you see here is actually editable. You can export it to Figma and then edit it and work on it as you want, literally. But for now, so let's just see if it can do this and then let's take it to anti-gravity because of time. Okay, so what is happening is that every single you give it something to work on, it the bottom and then start giving you that new structure. Most of the times, it gives you that one screen that you ask for. It redesigns that one screen that you ask for. Most of the times, it does. I think at this point now, it's actually redesigning every single thing or regenerating every single thing. So let's just get this and then work with it. So the most important part is that we've gotten a concept, and then this concept we got, we can iterate over the whole idea, work on it as much as we can work on it, and then take it to another and then have anti-gravity. Try to get to mimic the screen, not just like telling it to just design or give it a prompt and then it picks up every single thing the way he wants it to look like and stuff like that. Okay, so just wait for it. Okay, how is it looking like now? Okay, okay. Let's make use of this. So let's select this, and this, and then we can do a lot of stuff. So the beautiful part of this is just the exposure. So on the article I wrote, and then on Stitch tutorials and workshop and code labs and stuff like that, you see a whole lot of um, idea about using this, how to work system. You can literally do the editing in many forms and all of that. But the good part of it is just the exposure for you to just get the exposure and all of that. So you can also preview it. But let's just move this. So while we are here, when we are exporting, we can export to AI Studio, you can export to Figma, that is, it opens up on Figma. When we do this, it just generates the code, put it in a zip, and then we extract the zip. It will just be these images. We can put it on what they call it. You can copy it to clipboard. The most important part that I want to do is MCP. Then on MCP, I thought set up this MCP before. Oh, I think I locked out. So we're going to do this in real time. Okay. Yes, I did not set this up. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to use anti-gravity, and then I'm going to set this up. Just a minute. Let me copy this API key. Just a minute. Let me set this up. So we're making use of, I think it's also good for us to be aware of MCP. So if you've not heard about MCP, MCP is literally, how can I explain MCP now in a way that it makes sense? So when we know about we know about anti-gravity, what it does and all of that, one core technology that enables all of that workflow is something that is called MCP, which is the Model Context Protocol that everybody knows about MCP. So it acts as the server that acts between this AI agent and external system. It's more or less like a protocol that is defined how AI talk with external system, like a standard to say. And it allows AI agents to interact with tools, APIs, development environments in a structured way. And without MCP servers, AI agents will be limited to generating static code and whatnot. So if MCP server was not actually being brought up, everybody has different ways they were connecting. They were like defining how the AI connects to their system, but the MCP now give everybody a standard, and then you don't have to like start doing it one at a time or however you see it. An example could be like for an agent to read a file from a project directory, maybe run build command, access a database or fetch design or stuff like that. So we're going to be making use of MCP. So you can read it up. I think I've also written an article about it. I'm not really sure, but there are a lot of stuff that is out there that you can actually read up. So let me just, I think I should share this screen already. Let me check. Oh, this is already enabled. Let me make sure it's already enabled. Let me share my IDE. Let me stop sharing this. Somebody asked a question. Do you need a pro account to export? No, we don't actually need a pro account. You don't need a pro account to export it. Okay, let me share a window anti-gravity. Confirm when you can see this. Okay, perfect. I can see we are seeing it. So this is already, so this is MCP. Let me just remove this. So when I'm here, this is toggle exactly. So when I'm here, this is I'm back to the agents. I just wrote, oh, this is actually gone. Amazing. So when I'm here, I can go to MCP servers. I can search MCP servers. You can search Stitch. So Stitch is already here. So Stitch is already installed. If it's not installed, the only single thing you need is just that API key that I copied, which is this API key. Let me stop sharing this. That API key, when I was on Stitch, you saw let me share this because this is meant to be a follow a code along in a way that can actually help us. So I want us to get a full concept of this, even though we have a little time. So we have when we are trying to set up the MCP, we are choosing what we are working with. If you're using Cloud Code, Gemini CLI, or whatever that we're using anti-gravity. And then you can literally copy this and add this as a new MCP, as a new MCP server, or you can copy this API key, come to this place that I came in. When you come to anti-gravity and try to enable it, it will ask you for an API key. When it asks you for an API key, you just put that API key that is there, and it will be enabled. That's literally how it works. So let me come back to this so that just a minute so we can work on this. Okay. So one important thing about this whole thing is the fact that we can't access your screen. Just a minute. Just a second. This is already configured. This is TGMC before. Okay, copy. Just okay. Just a minute, please. I'm having a little. Okay, this would already give me exactly what I want. Just a second, guys. think the updated Stitch. Recent, I guess. Or is this not enabled? Let me confirm, please give me a second. Disable, enable, if possible, uninstall it. I think I should uninstall it. I think they updated it. So let me do it again. There's an update. I think I saw the update. Let me do it again because Stitch is not actually seeing the anti-gravity. There's no connection between them, but it's actually installed here, but there seems not to be any connection with them here. Okay, just a
Anthony,
sec.
are you sharing your screen?
Yeah, just give me a sec. I'll share my
Okay.
screen in a minute.
Mhm.
Yeah, just a second. Okay, now let me share my screen. Confirm if you can see my screen. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, we see the
Amazing.
anti-gravity window.
Amazing. Okay, so what we're going to do, this is still picking up this. Just give me a second. Just a second. Wow, they've made a change to this. Okay. Nevertheless, let's just find a way and copy this out. I've set this up. This is just meant to copy it out. Just a sec. Instead of it to give me, so before now, they've actually changed this. Wow. Okay, let's use another method. They've changed it. So before now, when you click on MCP, it gives you a prompt and it gives each screen an ID. And with the Stitch MCP server, you can communicate with it directly. But when I'm setting it up here, when I'm trying to copy it here, it's not actually getting it for some weird reasons. But that is not going to stop us. So what we're going to do is let's just find a way to get this out. Give me a minute. Okay. So let's use another method since that one is not working. Let's get the zip. Let's get it out. Let's just copy out the zip and take it out there. The MCP pattern will be the best pattern actually, where we don't have to carry all of these images and then start taking it to anti-gravity. It will be very easy for us. We just copy the prompt, take it there, it gets and the ID. So you can check it out. The article I wrote is actually based on that concept. Maybe they've updated it, but nevertheless. Okay, give me a minute. Let me download the zip. So I'm downloading the zip now. I just downloaded it as a zip. So what it does is it will just give me the interfaces, and then that'll be it. Then we'll now use those interfaces to. But that flow of using the MCP would have been the best flow. So what I would do is after the section, you can go read it up. I wouldn't want to just start working on it immediately on the call because of the time. But before now, once you set it up there, you just see the prompt, and then the Stitch MCP server start working for you immediately, where it generates more or less like a HTML page, and then use that HTML page to do stuff for you. Okay, give me a minute. Okay, stop. Let's take this one. Let's take the first screen, which is the home screen. So I'm doing this on my file explorer. Just give me a minute, please. Home screen. Okay. Okay, take this out. Okay. Okay, rename this one to property screen. Okay, then the detail page. So I'm exporting all of them. Sorry, it's taking time. So detail page, property details, screen. Okay, property details, screen, and then save estates. Okay, save screen. Okay, and then the user profile. Okay, we are done. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually just bring them in into Antigravity. That is profile screen, amazing. Copy all of this, take it to Antigravity here. How many can we take at a time? We just took only one. It's going to take like okay, amazing. So these are the screens. So those screens, it is those screens are here. So because the MCP pattern that we tried to use did not work. So what we literally did was, can you still hear me? Confirm you can hear me, please.
Uh,
Confirm you can hear me.
yeah, we can hear you, but we cannot see anything.
Oh, just a minute. Okay. Okay. Oh, I thought you guys were actually seeing this. So what I did was instead of CP pattern I wanted to use did not work. What I did was I just brought in confirm you can see my screen first.
Yes, yes.
Amazing. So what I did was I downloaded all of those images, all of these screens that was generated by Stitch. So before now, what I did previously was once you connect the MCP server of anti-gravity, put it on your IDE, and Stitch automatically gets it and gives you a prompt. So in here, you don't have to do all of this. So what you just have to do, it gives you like a prompt. This prompt has each of the screens. So it gives you a prompt that has an ID that identifies each of the screens that you have, just like when you have an ID of a user. So it gives you the ID of the home screen, the ID of this, the ID of that. And what happens is that the Stitch MCP server that we use is going to actually work hand in hand with this MCP server with the anti-gravity. Both of them are going to work hand in hand, where it sees that prompt. When it sees that prompt, automatically what happens here is, as I mentioned, when you're defining your tools, as descriptive as you are, it knows the kind of tool for it to call to perform the particular action. So what happens is that the Stitch MCP server picks the whole thing up, start rendering, um, start getting the artifacts, literally, start getting the artifacts from Stitch, get the UI. I think I wrote this in detail in free code camp. So it gets the UI, even gets you like a HTML pages of all of these screens, and then it start building the Flutter app. But that didn't work for our case. So what is working for our case is the fact that we have the zip, we are still doing it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the prompt for us to define this. And I've already written it out. So I'll just paste it and then paste it on that Google Docs as well. So just give me a minute. Let me get the prompt out. I've already written it. So it's actually quite long. I'm just going to explain it. So as I mentioned, it's also good for you to be as detailed as you can be. So first of all, I'm going to send it on that Google Docs so you can get it. I'll just write this code prompt. Yeah, so this is the code prompt. I just pasted it there. So I'll go to anti-gravity and then paste it and then explain it. So So what I mentioned here is actually, let me expand this so we get to see this very well. So I'm telling it to build a Flutter web application for premium. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to change this using the attached images. Before now, we don't need to do this. The MCP, the prompt, we just get the screen. So now we are doing it in a way, that I don't like to do this. But we're going to try as much as we can. So it's just going to be image recognition, which is going to actually make the whole thing a little inconsistent for us. But we still get the result. Okay, just a sec. This is to be readable. So this includes a little of performance optimization. So we are literally giving it a prompt where we're telling it to design a web app. So we're going to test this on the web. So it's going to be like a web application and a Flutter app. Let's call it Flutter app. Exactly for premium property rental marketplace. It's designed specifically for web demo with a clean, modern, realistic whatnot, like Airbnb implements this. This is where it gets good. We are telling it the same management it needs to use, and it needs to use it to manage the application state, including property listing, property selection, and favorite management. And it also needs to use it for gallery. We don't need it for actually this gallery navigation. Then okay, now we are not returning the position, but we're using it for booking action, and we're not using it for the booking action is meant to be demo. But let's just get started with it though. Then one good important thing is that we're telling it from onset to also define glassmorphism UI elements combined with soft shadows, more or less like repeating what we wrote on Stitch. And then we are giving it the color because most times when you don't mention this, most times it doesn't give you exactly what the UI looks like. So you're more or less like prompting it again for it to know what to do. And it's even more good now that it's just going to do image recognition, owing to the fact that we didn't get the prompts from Stitch. And then we're telling it to design fully reusable UI becomes in handy when you have reusable widgets. And another thing that is out there is also maintaining stuff like amenity tips, rating widgets. So it's like building it in a way that the widgets are different. And then we have every widget, model, repository, block, event, use cases, screen, utility. They should all exist in a different or dedicated file. Like they should be in a different file. So when you're working with Antigravity or Cloud Code or so, you see them creating classes inside a single file, having like 5 classes or every single thing inside main.dat. So you also want to have that and also not to create methods that look like this. So you see it separating more or less like splitting widget and then creating it like this, which I personally don't like it. So we're also telling it not to do it, to also create it. Each of these that is going to be like this should be a class and it should be in a single file. This is where you define those cursor rules. See it as you defining a cursor rule. You can also do this as write it as an MD file, a .md file, and then bring all of that in here, reference that file without you bringing all of this in here. You can do it in any form that you can, but because of course of this, we're just doing this. So let's just allow the other things I mentioned here for you to get images from the cloud and just do a demo for us. So let's just get started with this because of time. Okay, let's run this. So it's trying to get that particular font that we are using. Although that is not in our assets, except if it is going to install Google Fonts. The font is not in our assets. Well, let's just work with it and see. So it has created an implementation plan. And then this is the implementation, what is going to work on. This is where you literally look at what it's going to do. So you know about every single thing. This is where you can drop comments, you look at, is trying to create this structure, this folder structure where it has lib and then they call the utils. This is what is going to be here. This is what is going to be here. It's going to create this. It's going to create this. Every single thing that is going to work on this. So you can literally um, pick up a section and give a comment. So we're not going to be doing a comment and stuff like that, or do a review process because of time. So what matters is that you actually have that ability for you to see what you're going to work on and then make an update on it. More or less like when a product manager gives you a PROD for you to review, or they've defined the PROD, or more or less see this in a way where somebody define, or you being a product manager, this is where your product management actually comes in play. Even before you start all your architecturing um, career kicks in a way. So you have to like look at how the whole thing is going to play out even before the AI starts. So let's just proceed with it. Okay. So the next thing it's going to do is it's going to give us a task list. Okay, it wants to install because we are doing, because we tell it to use catch network image. So I also mentioned catch network image. And also now it's actually trying to install the Google Fonts because we don't have Google Fonts assets here. So if it calls up those assets there, it gives us a problem where the assets are not local files for us. It's also trying to install Intel as well. Okay, so let's do this as well. So it has created the directories, all of these directories. Okay, so literally, what it's doing is at all of these places, it's also nice for you to be looking at every single thing here. I'm more or less going through with it and looking at what it is actually doing, literally. So it has successfully added the dependencies. It has it is now writing the app colors, I mean the that is the color, the theme is using right to file tool. As I mentioned, I talked about tools and then explicitly listening to this one is different one. This is defined for it and all of that. So it's good also for you to pay attention to this as well. So it has started creating the files. So this is that same colors that we mentioned to it. And then it has defined the theme, the theming of the file, and then it's moving forward. What else has it done for us? Okay, let's also put all of this. And it's also making use of clean architecture. So it's being defined by us as well. Okay, so it has done some stuff for us here. So it has defined amenity, which I don't know what the amenity is. Okay, I definitely know what the amenity is. So the amenity is more or less like number of toilets, bathrooms, and stuff like that. So we have the host, this is the host information, and it's using equatable as well. This is the property. So also another thing is when you want the property, when you want, it's very good for you to be more detailed as well. When you want the property to the the properties is going to have and all of that, it's also good for you to define it here. Really, really good for you to define it here as well. The review, what you want the review to have. So literally, it's making judgment where we didn't make judgment. That's exactly what it's doing. So when it gave us that implementation guide, it's also nice for us to look at it, define things the way we want it to define. We didn't define all of those scope. We didn't define the full. We can add more to be aware of it as well. So it's this, defining this. Okay, okay, And also, it's also nice as he's working on this, you can also be looking at it to actually check if it follows the same structure that you have in mind or the pattern that you use for programming. As he's working on it, that's where you come in as a driver, not just like sit down and look at it. You can check out every single thing he's working on, like this navigation could be it, how it looks like. Would you want to use navigate? Would you want to use this? Would you want to not use it? And because it can over engineer as well. So it's also good for you not to over engineer. You make sure that you are driving. You're like being the driver in a way. You're looking at getting familiar with and everything as well. So it's also nice. And then it has created this properties block. Okay. So what it did first is that it created like a facade, and then okay, 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 it has done as much, and then it has given us a tax list. So I think I just saw that tax list. That tax, just a minute, I think I've seen it. So it has given us a tax. So this tax is more or less like what it has done, the progress where it is. So this is where it is now. It has entered the presentation, so it has done all of this. There isn't need to keep track of the things it has done, or like more or less like it knowing what it has ticked off and stuff like that. So it's also good for you to. You can also add comments to it, like add comments and hey, this one you did not do it. So I want it to look like this or stuff like that. And so you can only do this when you've actually looked at the files it has generated. So I don't know if because this section is meant to end in 10 minutes. So I don't know if I have more time to proceed. How is it going to look like? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Yeah. Yeah, we have 10 minutes. You're right.
Yeah, so the good part of this whole thing is not actually to build that gives you that feeling of it working, but for you to be aware of how the whole thing works, for you to be aware of how the communications is like. If you understand how system works, you can better use them to get exactly what you want with a good understanding. So that's why I took majority of the time for you to understand when you give a prompt, what is actually happening when you give the prompt. When you send out an image for um, plot code, Kusel to do whatever for you, you are being aware of what is happening. How as more concise or clear you are with your prompts, that's how the implementation is going to be for you. So I think I'm going to stop sharing this screen and share this last screen. Just a minute. Okay, because of time. So the good part of this is that all of this section we have. So when I was preparing this, I told myself we can cover as much as we can. Then the in depth, all of the whole thing around this is in the article I mentioned. If you type free code camp, Stitch, anti-gravity, or you can, if you type my name, you can see it. Every single thing defined, every single thing explained. So we've covered as much as we can. And the good part of it is that we didn't just start from giving anti-gravity um, a prompt for it to do all of this. We started from Stitch. We started from Stitch, designed from Stitch, now brought it to anti-gravity using Flutter and defining exactly how the UI should look should be for us. So let me just share this screen and then give it to the organizers. Just a minute. So this is what I mentioned. Just a moment. Just a minute. Okay. So this is what I mean. So this is already on Freecode Camp. So it's exactly the section we are having. So it's very actually more detailed. Every single thing explained at every point in time, from the stitch to the spotting, as I mentioned, and then to every of what anti-gravity is doing at every point. So you can go read it up. It's more or less like a code lab. You can read it up, and it's hands-on, fully hands-on. So that's literally what it is like. So thank you so much, and let me allow the organizers to continue from here.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Anthony. It was yeah, pretty useful, and we just spent what, an hour and a half, and we already have an app running, a rental marketplace. So yeah, that was pretty good. There was a question for you from Dino. Dino is asking, this is like vibe coding, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. It's actually vibe coding, but the essence of the section is for you to know, for you to be aware if you are working with all of these other systems or like pushing yourself to the wide, throwing yourself to the wide without having an idea of what you're building, vibe coding gets this wrong perception or this wrong interpretation. But when you mix it with being aware from the concept, being aware from the onset, it moves away from vibe coding. I don't know what to call it if not software development still.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And good thing is because you have a Flutter background and mobile engineering background, you are much more, in a better position to understand what kind of code AI is generating, right? Rather than just trusting whatever AI has given to you. So yeah, I would say it's engineer, I don't know, supervised vibe coding. Yeah. Okay. Uh, Anthony, if you can hear me, I have I have a question while we wait for another Q&As. Can you hear me?
Okay, definitely I can hear you. I'm here.
Yeah, okay. So I wanted to check. So we did the screen designs and we also asked Antigravity to, create the whole project for us. Uh, would you be able to guess how much would that cost us in terms of tokens and money?
Okay. Depending on, tokens is more or less like calculated on even based on even how lengthy your prompt is and the kind of tax you're doing. So it's going to act for if you are using a free plan, normal free plan that Google gives you on a monthly, not even monthly basis, weekly I think 2 weeks or thereabouts. So the if you exhaust it and then it comes, I think it stays 2 weeks or thereabouts. So you can actually work with Stitch, work with anti-gravity, bring an MVP to life without you even running out of that, without you running out of that free plan that you have. So I can't
Hmm.
guess how much token it can give you, but for a fact, I've built an MVP using the free plan from. So I just tried it out. That was literally what we use for the free code camp. So you can build an MVP on a free plan without you being on a pro. So this particular Google account I'm using to join this section is not even it's not even on Google One. It doesn't have a pro account on it. So you can use Gemini 3 or the highest model of Gemini on a free plan. And even it gives you Claude, it gives you, let me check the one it gives you. It gives you Opus 4.6 and Sonnet 4.6 on that same free plan trial. So literally now it doesn't have like any pricing mechanism on it or like monetary subscription that is so tied to it, like when you are using Perplexity or you are using all these other tools or stuff like that. For now, you can use them while still on free plan.
Nice. Yeah, that gives a, that gives a relief that okay, I can still on my flip and I can still create some kind of an MVP, rather than just going out of token. So right now what I'm doing is I'm just, putting everyone on a presenter mode. I would request if possible, you can turn on the camera. I'll just take a quick picture of everyone who have joined the call, who have spent the time. It's really good to see, everyone's faces. We have Conrad, we have Kiana, we have Dino. Feel free to turn on the camera. We have Tejas, Dave. Good to see all of you guys joining. I hope all of us learned, something new on this call. And Anthony, would you mind putting, yourself on camera as well, if possible? Uh, I'm just gonna take a quick picture and then we can start with the closing notes. Just stay good to see you, Rohan. Nice. Good that you joined, at this time. Okay, let me take a quick photo. Uh, On the count of three, one, two, three. Yeah, nice, perfect. Uh, yeah, thank you so much for everyone. Let me share my screen again, and thanks a lot, Anthony, especially for sharing all the important knowledge. Now we know how can we use Stitch and anti-gravity, and because they both are products of Google, how well they work with each other, right? So yeah, before we sign off, after this meeting, you'll receive an email to fill out the survey. Feel free to share, your detailed responses. We are trying to improve, for at each and every meeting, and we learn new things and each and every session. So your feedback is very important to us. Feel free to share, what we did well, what we could do better, and as you can see on the screen, there are two QR codes. The first one leads you to the GDG Surrey homepage, where you can find all the events, past events, future events, and as soon as the recording is available to us, we will post it on the same page. And you can connect with us on LinkedIn, follow us on LinkedIn as well, uh, and that is our second LinkedIn uh, uh, QR code. Yes. Let me see the chat section one last time. I think any questions? Okay. Yeah, no more questions. Thanks a lot, Rohan, for acknowledging this. And thanks everyone for joining the call. Thanks, Anthony, for sharing your knowledge. We hope to see you in the next session. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Have a good one. Enjoy the weekend. See you.